Module Overview. This module examines the Hollywood Renaissance, also known as New Hollywood, a transformative period in American cinema that stretched from the late 1960s through the early 1980s. It was a revolutionary era characterized by a departure from traditional studio practices, a greater openness to controversial themes, innovative cinematic techniques, and a new generation of auteur filmmakers who radically reshaped the identity of Hollywood film. In the wake of declining studio power, social unrest, political disillusionment, e.g., Vietnam War, Civil Rights Movement, Watergate, and the rise of youth counterculture, American cinema experienced a creative rebirth. Inspired by global film movements such as the French New Wave and Italian Neorealism, these new American filmmakers introduced gritty realism, anti-heroes, moral ambiguity, and experimental editing into mainstream cinema. This module explores the conditions that led to this renaissance, its key filmmakers and films, as well as the interplay between cultural turbulence and artistic innovation. It also addresses the eventual commercialization of this movement, paving the way for the blockbuster era of the late 1970s. Learning objectives. By the end of this module, you will be able to understand the historical, economic, and socio-political conditions that gave rise to New Hollywood. Identify the key directors and their contributions to the redefinition of American cinema. Analyze stylistic and thematic characteristics of films produced during the Hollywood Renaissance. Discuss the impact of the MPAA rating system and the collapse of the Hays Code. Evaluate the legacy of New Hollywood in shaping contemporary auteur-driven cinema and blockbuster culture. Historical context. The fall of the studio system. Decline of the old studio system. By the 1960s, traditional Hollywood studios faced bankruptcy due to shrinking theater audiences, due to TV, outdated production values, obsolete censorship, Hays Code. Youth culture. Uprising, baby boomers demanded cinema that reflected realism, rebellion, and complexity. Social movements, civil rights, women's liberation, anti-war protests shaped audience expectations. Key features of New Hollywood Cinema 1. Anti-heroes and moral ambiguity. Traditional moral binaries faded. Protagonists were often flawed, conflicted, or nihilistic, e.g., Taxi Driver, Bonnie and Clyde. 2. Narrative and visual experimentation, unconventional storytelling. Open-ended or tragic endings, natural lighting, handheld cameras, location shooting, and voiceovers. Integration of pop/rock music into soundtracks. 3. Themes of alienation and disillusionment. Post-Vietnam trauma, urban decay, generational conflict, identity crises. 4. Director-driven films, auteurism. The director was the primary creative force. Film schools produced educated filmmakers with historical awareness and artistic ambition. Landmark films and directors Bonnie and Clyde, Arthur Penn, 1967, violent yet romantic portrayal of criminals, influenced by French New Wave editing and character psychology, changed the perception of screen violence and romanticized rebellion.
Allowed adult themes, nudity, profanity, and graphic violence. Enabled filmmakers to explore taboo subjects and mature themes. 2. The rise of film schools. First generation of film brats, Scorsese, Lucas, Spielberg, De Palma, Coppola, trained academically. Blended classic Hollywood technique with European aesthetics. 3. New distribution and exhibition models. Studios invested in low-budget films with high creative risk. Independent producers had greater access to mainstream exhibition. Cult followings and critical acclaim shaped studio decision-making. Collapse of the movement. Despite creative heights, the New Hollywood era waned by the late 1970s due to box office failures. Heaven's Gate won from the heart. Rising studio oversight and demand for commercial appeal. The success of Jaws 1975 and Star Wars 1977 ushered in the blockbuster era. Studios prioritized profitability merchandising, and global appeal.
The Graduate, Mike Nichols, 1967, a satirical take on suburban life, youth alienation, and sexual politics. First major use of pop music soundtrack, Simon and Garfunkel. Easy Rider, Dennis Hopper, 1969. Counterculture classic showcasing freedom, drugs, and disillusionment. Independent spirit and road movie aesthetics. Taxi Driver, Martin Scorsese, 1976. Urban isolation, mental instability, and vigilante justice.
Psychological depth and stylized violence. The Godfather, Francis Ford Coppola, 1972. Family, power, corruption, and loyalty in organized crime. Operatic grandeur, complex character arcs, cultural nuance. Star Wars, George Lucas, 1977, initiated the blockbuster model with merchandising, franchises, and wide releases. Though distinct from gritty New Hollywood, its success marked the end of the era's experimentalism. Institutional changes: 1. The end of the Hays Code, 1968, MPAA rating system introduced, G, PG, R, X, later NC-17. Critical analysis: how did New Hollywood filmmakers blur the line between art and commerce? In what ways did post-war trauma and cultural fragmentation manifest in film narratives? To what extent can modern auteur directors trace their lineage to this era?